Rob Grimes with the IFBTA, and I got invited this year to first look in the Samsung Pavilion. And it's not the main floor, which we'll cover later. We take a look at some of the new technologies that are on their way out. They're concepts. It's almost like looking at concept cars, over at CES. But in this case, we're taking a look at a lot of digital, a lot of screens, and a lot of different use cases. And of course, as always, Samsung's one of the global leaders. They sell a lot to the hospitality, retail, food service industry. And there are many technologies in here that would have applicability, even though they're showcasing them for the consumer, they'd have applicability for the hospitality industries in general. And so this is welcome to First Look. So I'm going to take a walk around and welcome you to the first look, my first look at Samsung here at CES. I'm always asked what kinds of things I come to CES that I'm looking for. And one of the things, anything visual, because I think the projectors have a lot, especially when they're a small form factor projector. And what we're seeing here is the next generation of Samsung freestyle projectors. They're showing different use cases like outside on a camping trip, but they're also showing them on different walls. And this is the next generation. So if you think about it, the form factor is so small that we are able to actually put that somewhere. So it could be in a lobby, it could be, a portable is really the key here. It could be in a lobby, it could be in a restaurant, but you start to see also how projectors can work together. So they actually have two projectors here that are working together to get a 3D approach. But if we take a look at the wall, one of the interesting things I found was this one here. This is a new concept that they're showing that actually recognizes the material that's being shown on. And so we can see it's on a screen. You can turn anything actually into a projector and a video display experience, but it's because it knows the material and can sense it to give it a smooth look in there. And then of course you can see different pictures, different lighting here. There's definitely going to be some kind of applicability within different environments within hospitality. So there's always times when you go and you look and you say, this is like a cool idea, this is like a good thing, okay? So these are actually frames, and you can see that they're not digital frames. Well, they are digital frames because they're doing digital music behind them. And you can actually, if you can get a close-up of this, you can hear the music coming out from under it, but it has artwork. So if you picture when you're going ahead and you're setting up a hotel room, you're setting up your restaurant, a lot of times we have artwork and we put the artwork up, and it's not necessarily the digital, but we're always trying to find ways how to cut down on the noise, how to go ahead and give that experience, pipe the music in, whether it's a conference room, a boardroom, or it's even at tableside. I can actually picture some of these so there's a play on words, right? But I can picture putting these at each table and you get your own sound experience. Perhaps actually connected with your phone, this might be the next generation of a jukebox at the tableside. So this is something new. This is a concept that they're showing of how to go ahead and get the music, but then go ahead and put different pictures in place. And if you do this, you're not necessarily going to need to have a ton of wiring, a lot of digital flowing through, but it's a way to be able to do that. All right, so we continue the tour along. So now we're looking at artwork. Now I've seen this for a number of years because everybody saw like Bill Gates' house and he'd have the digital artwork that would change. This is a little different. Actually, look how clear this is, okay? But if I look at this one over here, I think I'm looking at a real painting. And it's because they did a matte finish a number of years ago. I don't want to just say this is for just artwork, but we are always looking for ways to be multifunctional with the digital experience within hospitality. So if you have a meeting room, right now, you may have a presentation you have to make. You can use the screen for that. But when you're not doing that, you can show artwork. You can show digital menu boards. You can show the food that you're doing. These are multifunctional. I think the key here is not just the frames, but how clear the artwork actually is and how they can make a surface look that way. By the way, when we talk about digital signage in a restaurant, I always dealt with that issue of whether you have the chalkboard that's up there and how do you simulate that? Oh, we can't go ahead and do digital frames. I think this is clearly showing us that you can really do anything on a frame. So the next part of digital menu boards, digital signage, digital decoration within restaurants, within hospitality, within retail, it's interchangeable as long as it's all connected. And that's what Samsung is showing here is the next generation. Okay, so it's all about the size of the screens and the space, but it also has to be about flexibility and being able to show clear pictures. Clearly, 4K clearly, we're showing a big screen here, which is basically a screen, but the projector is a throw projector that's either in the ceiling or it's on the floor. Right now they're doing it from the floor. It's connected into a Wi-Fi network, and it's got wireless connectivity that's here. And by the way, I had them turn up the lights, so the fact that I'm in a low light right now doesn't really make a difference here. So you can picture this within a bar, within a restaurant, of actually being able to do sporting events. This is a great screen, but you can go ahead and take and move this around. And this obviously can be used in multiple places, including, by the way, in convention centers, in the ballrooms, other places where you need to have a big display. This certainly is a very large display, and again, a throw projector, which is coming right up from the floor to the ceiling, so it stays out of the way. Okay, this is one of the really cool things in the room. So these are transparent micro LED technologies. These are new concepts, things that are coming out, and you can see the different types. That's a micro LED, the first one, which is very bright color, to transparent LCD, and that's an OLED screen. But where does this all end up? All right, so that's what we really need to know. What is the concept for the future? How is this going to work? All right, what we're looking at here is the transparent screens being shown, and you can see that there's a background behind it. Now what Samsung has done is they've actually put some screens behind there. So if you can imagine that this is in the box at a stadium, and this is the window that you can see out. It's digital advertising that can go across this. We've been talking about this for a number of years here at CES, about the ability to put micro screens or put screens on the front of refrigerators, workout cabinets, on windows, on the doors you go in. This is actually showing, and of course what they're doing here is they're showing real life statistics that are coming here, but you can see the sporting event. And so if you were in a stadium or arena looking down, you could see the sporting event, yet you're getting all this information up on the screen. It's actually sort of like some of those movies that are out there where, you know, they're picking these things and putting it up there. I guess I could be moving the things around and putting up the stats and the information I want and moving them around. That'll probably come next year when we go ahead and we have the ability to go ahead and transform things, because maybe I have some gloves and things that are doing that. All right, so while we're on the subject of the micro LED screens, this is actually showing the next generation of televisions, things to come. Look at the size, 140 inches, 114. These are huge screens that are using the new micro LED technology in order to be able to show very, very clear pictures that are here. Not available right now, they're on their way out, obviously, and I'm sure these are like really expensive, but you get the idea of what we're going to be able to do with a really small form factor in a very large screen when you want to have that kind of screen and not necessarily the projection. And again, they're showing artwork, they're showing video, they're showing all kinds of different things. So I'm sort of standing in an artificial intelligence and AI embedded corner of the Samsung First Look area in the screens. However, there are some technologies that they've had out for a number of years, and one of them is the accessibility, as you're looking at. Now, what you're looking at is a screen going on here. This is the normal thing that you would see. What I find interesting, though, is the sign language in the corner, and you can go ahead and choose which ones you want to do. And what it's doing is it's judging, listening what's on the screen, and then it's going ahead and using an avatar to be able to do the sign language. So what's the practical use case on this? Well, first of all, digital signage for sure. Any kind of commercials and things that we're running for sure. Perhaps using it on a kiosk. And we know that Samsung is doing some things with the kiosks that are out there. And the idea is to embed this. This is embedded in the technology, in their Kaizen platform and their operating system. It's embedded in there. This is something you get that's been available, but it's the next generation where they're putting the AI, the avatars together in order to do accessibility. I could also see this perhaps being used in screens in the kitchen for doing cooking, giving instructions. One of the things I focused on this past year that I've wanted to do a podcast on, and I probably will do at some point, is accessibility. How do you work with people who have different disabilities, whether it's sight, whether it's hearing, in the kitchen? How do you do that? But it's also for the consumer, so it's really for both sides. So that's what we're seeing here. I think this is an interesting display that really shows the best of both that are coming out there, but again, embedded in the technology itself. So as I've said for a long time, you know, things that start with the consumer end up being on the commercial side. So they become popular, the cost comes down. SmartThings is nothing new for Samsung because we've looked at this before in their booth, but it's all kinds of devices that are connected together. What I find interesting here is if you take a look at really what the picture is, you start to think about a restaurant, you start to think about a hotel room, and everything is connected through it, and you're able to visually see what it is. Now, we've seen this before. We see this with security systems for sure. But as we start to tie things together, again, use home consumer products, cost comes down, it's available right now, there's no need to wait, and there's no need to have to rewire. It's really a whole connected piece that goes along. And it's not just this. It's also connected as it goes to your phones, it's connected to your televisions, it's connected to your PCs, all the screens that are there. But I think you get the idea here, from the electronic shades to the air conditioners to the music. Everything can be connected to each other in a total ecosystem within the hospitality industry. So what we're taking a look at here is a bot that has a camera in it that can actually move around, and it's taking different video. Now they're showing different use cases on it to do, like looking on a senior, looking on your pets, and go ahead and tell it to go ahead and feed the pet food that's out there or something like that. This is really a security system. This is something that can rove, around a unit. It could possibly be embedded in some other technology that's within the unit to take a look at the customers who are coming in, the flow of people, not really to spy, but also at night. It is a security piece. I can imagine using something like this in a hotel, for instance, going down the corridors at night, get rid of the guards who have to go check, to be able to check on different things, or to look at energy management or issues that come up like a flood, and be able to do that, because it is able to rove. It's very small form factor, but it's also able to display up. So it's a display as much as it is a camera and a security device that can go around.